So there was a moment during the debate where Donald Trump talked about migrants who were allegedly eating dogs, eating cats, eating various pets, eating ducks. And I think he mentioned Springfield, Ohio specifically. And then he got fact checked by David Muir of ABC News saying that there were no credible reports of pets being eaten by Haitian migrants, because it was the rumors that they were all Haitians who were doing this. And, you know, there's been some debate about this because that comes on the heels of actual accusations of Haitians running around killing animals and or cooking them outside. Like I've seen multiple videos of people at town council meetings in Springfield saying, hey, you know, we've got these migrants running around here, you know, pulling roadkill off of the side of the road and like skinning it so that they can eat it. We've got people running around eating dogs, people running around eating cats, people running around eating ducks and geese and all these animals just brazenly out in public. Now, I don't think any of those have sort of like risen to the level of criminal investigations. So that makes it difficult to fact check some of these things, because if you call the police, you can have like body cam footage or whatever that sort of exonerates you when you make claims like that. Right now, it's just people saying this has happened. I don't think that any of these things have been investigated and proven to be true, even though you can see some footage of, you know, people killing creatures or cooking a creature. I saw outside, like I think 30 minutes ago, I saw some video where a migrant was allegedly cooking some dog on the sidewalk. Now, I don't know if that was real. I don't know if that was legit. It seemed like it was posted by someone who would not necessarily care to give me the source. But I will say that I spoke, well, maybe not audibly, but I messaged the person who posted the original Haitian walks around with a dead duck image in Springfield, Ohio. Now, yes, I did verify that the original source of this did come from Reddit. Actually, there are news articles that say that the picture originally came from Reddit. But the picture, first of all, was not from Springfield. It was from Columbus, Ohio, first of all. And second of all, the person who took the picture actually doesn't know what was necessarily happening. He didn't know why that person killed the Canadian goose. Didn't know whether or not he meant to eat the goose or not. Didn't know how the goose was killed. It's a goose, by the way, not a duck. But also, he told me, I thought that he was Somalian. I never thought at first that he was Haitian. So on that one, that one might not be what people think it is. But one thing that's interesting is, while all this is getting, fact checked by all the highbrow people in the mainstream news media who are trying to take down Trump or whatever, which I have my own conspiracy theory about that. I actually think the opposite's happening, but in a future video, we could talk about that. However, while all these stories are happening, right, talking about all these Haitian migrants running wild, guess what happens? Oh, look at this. Look at this. Ohio is sending troopers and $2.5 million to a city that has seen an influx of Haitian migrants. The governor of Ohio will send law enforcement and millions of dollars in healthcare resources to the city of, put on your thinking caps, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe take a few guesses, a few hints as far as like what city this might be headed towards, which city is getting these resources, what city is getting these millions of dollars. Oh, it's the city of Springfield. Well, that's interesting. Why are they sending people to Springfield? Why are they sending money to Springfield? Everything over there is perfectly fine. Everything there is perfectly fine. The migrants over there aren't being violent. The migrants aren't running around killing animals in broad daylight. They're not doing all of these crazy things. So why are they sending all of these resources over into Springfield? Well, we see a little bit of it here in this next paragraph. It says Republican Ohio Governor Mike DeWine said Tuesday he doesn't oppose the temporary protected status program under which some 15,000 Haitians have arrived in the city of about 59,000 people since 2020. But said the federal government must do more to help impacted communities. So this city has received an influx of migrants. Now, there are some people who like to assume that all migrants are wild and violent and uncivilized. That's not true. You've got some people who are nice and normal, and some people who are wild and reckless. If you want to, maybe get a more balanced view, maybe it's not like the most balanced video that you'll ever see, because I think that he does lean more towards the thing of we don't need to be worried about immigrants thing aside, rather than being like, oh, they're good and bad immigrants or whatever. But if you watch this video called "Is This Even True?", he reacts to a video I think that PBS News did, where they interviewed some people who were Haitians who were settling in Springfield, and what were they doing? They were actually going to church, and not just going to church, serving in the church, like working on the AV and doing stuff like that. So clearly, there are definitely some good migrants here in this bunch of Haitians, and they're not all being all wild and crazy. Now, it is also fair to point out, though, that there are 15,000 of them. So when you add so many people from a foreign land, especially one that has wildly different laws, different regulations, and different culture, you are going to see some incongruency, and some of that is unfortunately going to lead to some wild things happening, things you might not expect. And I actually looked this up because here's the thing to me, okay? Especially as someone who's pro-life, it can make for a meme moment when Donald Trump says they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats. It might even tug on your heartstrings a little bit. I know for me, I'm a cat person, so I wept slightly when I heard him utter those words. However, I think that there's a much more serious thing going on with all of this, all these migrants coming into the country unchecked. I mentioned, by the way. I'm completely fine with immigrants. I think immigrants are fine to have, and I think they've been not a backbone of our country, but they have certainly been a part of the American tradition dating back to decades, right? Where you just bring in migrants into your country, you graft them into your culture and you assimilate them, and then they help your country grow. And sometimes they add valuable parts from their own cultures and they bring that into the American culture. But that's not always the case. Now, I wanted to look up a montage of, people running through migrant crime stories to show on stream, because I know that there have been a lot of terrible things happening when it comes to migrants in America, especially I would say in New York, because New York loves to do catch and release with migrant criminals. Some migrant rapes somebody and then they're like, oh, we'll just let you out. We're not going to press charges, because the DAs don't want to press charges on black people because they want to help balance out inequality. They want to balance out the inequality in the criminal justice system, and that's a whole conversation for another day. But I couldn't even find a montage. Do you know why? Because so many crimes have happened, it would take forever to do a proper montage of all the crimes. We could just look at some of these headlines here. Florida sees uptick in migrants committing violent crimes. Several migrants arrested in citywide crime spree. Migrant crew, including 11-year-old behind Central Park crime surge, NYPD. A lot of this is from New York City. To be fair, New York City does not handle criminals well. There's Central Park. NYPD blames migrant crew for Central Park crime surge. Now, I am going to say this, though. I think this is entirely fair, that when it comes to violence, migrants are not the only, perpetrators of these crimes, even when it comes to eating the cats and dogs, because the cat story came from a real life story of a black woman who was eating a cat, basically alive. Like she had killed the cat, she was laying with it, and she was eating the cat. I think the body was actually still warm, if I'm not mistaken. But the thing is, she's actually an American citizen. We also have stories of American citizens committing crimes in New York and being released as well. So this is not just a, oh, look at all these migrants. These migrants are running wild and reckless and killing people with impunity. Now, to be fair, that actually is a thing. that's going on, and that's one reason why we do need to stem the illegal immigration situation and get some of these illegal immigrants out of the country. Not all of them, because I think I mentioned before that I do support a form of amnesty where it's like, hey, come if you're in the country, we'll let you go through a process to get legalized while you're here. But if you commit a crime, you're out. Because I think the majority of migrants actually are peaceful. But it's just that you have so many that eventually you're going to have a lot of criminals here into this country. But just crime in general is something that is not taken care of well in a lot of American cities. So we need to get DAs replaced legally. I'm not advocating for any sort of violence. Don't get it twisted. But we need to get like DAs and judges replaced so that the people who are caught by the police actually go to jail and get sentenced, because it's demoralizing for them. Some of these police officers, people often look at the police officers who refuse to arrest criminals such as these, and they're like, oh, why aren't you release it? Why aren't you stopping them? Why aren't you apprehending these people? Well, they probably know that the DA is just going to let the person walk anyway. So it's a waste of time to go and arrest these people if they know that those people are going to be let loose. Donald Trump was very inaccurate with that claim, and I will talk more about that at length when I react to the entire debate. But still, migrant crime is a massive issue that needs to be managed and that needs to be taken care of. Kamala Harris wants to cackle and laugh all the live long day about how it's not an issue at all and that all the migrants are fine and we need to have even more migrants from Haiti come into the country. But it seems like we can't handle the migrants who are already here. So it doesn't seem like that's something that we should necessarily be prioritizing, bringing these people in, because we need to take care of our own who are already here and protect them from the people who are already violent, causing havoc in this country.